The defense forces managed to maintain the defense thanks to the transfer of a Marine brigade to this region. Military expert and founder of the Reactive Mail charity organization, Pavel Narozhny, reported this on air on Radio NV. They held the Pokrovsk front. The enemy was able to push through the outskirts, 2 flanks, and a month ago there was a danger of this encirclement being closed. Now there is no such situation. Counterattacks are underway. Our fighters on the flanks are improving their situation, pushing back the enemy, he said. At the same time, Narozhny added that the Russian invaders destroyed about 60 to 70% of the infrastructure in Pokrovsk. He added that some houses in the city still remain intact. There is no infrastructure, no heating, but Pokrovsk itself is holding on. There is no danger that the enemy will enter Pokrovsk now. There is an improvement. The enemy is being pushed back. The Russians have also had some success there. But overall, the situation is under control and the initiative is on our side, Narozhny added. In the early days of March, Vadim Skibitsky, deputy chief of Ukraine's defense intelligence, said Russia planned to capture the entire Donetsk and Luhansk oblasts in 2025. He stated that while Russia continuously adjusts its war plans, its strategic goal remains unchanged: total occupation or complete control over Ukraine. The situation in the Pokrovsk direction has worsened for the Russian military. Ukrainian forces have stopped the Russian advance and are counterattacking. The enemy is trying to restore their position, but so far it has not been successful. We are gradually liberating important settlements and pushing back the enemy's penetration, the expert said. According to Popovich, Russian forces in the Pokrovsk area have exhausted their resources and their progress has been halted. Stanislav Bunatov, commander of the 24th Separate Assault Battalion Aidar, known as Osman, clarified that Russian infantry on the Pokrovsk front is exhausted, but their reconnaissance, artillery, aviation and strike drones are operating around the clock. Besides the front line, aviation is also targeting our rear positions, so we must remain vigilant, the soldier warned. The city lies north of Pokrovsk, the focal point of Russia's assaults over the last months. Russian forces approached Pokrovsk in August 2024, but after 6 months have yet to capture it. Currently, the Russians are attempting to bypass the city from the south and eventually encircle it. Ukrainian forces continue holding the invaders to not let them seize the entire region and reach the borders of Dnipropetrovsk Oblast.
In the year after Russia launched outright war on Ukraine, NATO leaders approved a set of military plans designed to repel an invasion of Europe. It was the biggest shakeup of the alliance's defense readiness preparations since the Cold War. NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte has warned that Russian forces could be capable of launching an attack on European territory in 2030, raising fears among the member countries. The secret plan set out how Western allies would defend NATO territory from the Atlantic to the Arctic, through the Baltic region in Central Europe, down to the Mediterranean Sea. Up to 300,000 troops would move to its eastern flank within 30 days, many of them American. That would climb to 800,000 within 6 months. With the Trump administration warning last month US priorities lie elsewhere, Europe must take care of its own security. Mustering just 30,000 European troops to police any future peace in Ukraine is proving a challenge. Billions of euros are being shifted to military budgets, but only slowly, and the Europeans are struggling to fire up production in their defense industries. Beyond funding, tens of thousands more European citizens might have to complete military service, and time is of the essence. According to Stockholm International Peace Research Institute estimates that Europe, including the UK, has almost 1.5 million active duty personnel. But many can't be deployed on a battlefield, and those who can are hard to use effectively without a centralized command system. Analysts say that in the event of a Russian attack, NATO's top military officer would probably dispatch around 200,000 US troops to Europe to build on the 100,000 US military personnel already based there. With the Americans out of the picture, a realistic estimate may therefore be that an increase in European capacities equivalent to the fighting capacity of 300,000 US troops is needed, the Brussels-based Bruegel think tank estimates. Europe faces a choice: either increase troop numbers significantly by more than 300,000 to make up for the fragmented nature of national militaries, or find ways to rapidly enhance military coordination, Bruegel said. NATO is encouraging countries to build up personnel numbers, but the transatlantic alliance isn't telling them how to do it. Maintaining public support for the armed forces and for Ukraine is too important to risk by dictating choices. The way they go about it is intensely political, so we wouldn't prescribe any way of changing this, whether to go for conscription, elective conscription, bigger reserves, a senior NATO official said on the condition of anonymity because he wasn't authorized to brief journalists unless he remained unnamed. 11 European countries have compulsory military service: Austria, Cyprus, Croatia, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Greece, Latvia, Lithuania, Sweden, and non-European Union nation Norway. Drones of the Security Service of Ukraine recently attacked the Tambov, Saratov, and Belgorod regions of the Russian Federation. Gas compressor stations and a warehouse for S-300/S-400 missiles were hit. Sources in the Security Service of Ukraine told media about this. Long-range drones hit 2 gas compressor stations, Davidovskaya in the Tambov region and Novopetrovskaya in the Saratov region. The video shows unmanned aerial vehicles hitting industrial equipment at stations and causing powerful explosions. Drones attacked a field depot of missiles for the S-300/S-400 systems near the village of Radkovka, Belgorod region. After the impact, active detonation of ammunition began. The SBU has carried out another successful special operation on enemy territory, which has caused significant damage to Russia's budget, reduced the ability to finance the war against Ukraine and the military potential of the Russian army, the source said. During a full-scale war, Ukraine strikes strategic targets in Russia, including oil refineries, ammunition depots, and more. The attacks, mostly carried out by drones, are intended to weaken the Russian military machine, make it more difficult to supply the front with fuel and ammunition, and create tension within Russia. According to open sources, it is known that as a result of the actions of Russian air defense, a number of civilian infrastructure facilities were damaged. The Ukrainian Defense Forces have detailed information about strategic facilities involved in supporting the armed aggression of the Russian Federation against Ukraine, adhere to the norms of international humanitarian law and take measures to ensure maximum safety for the civilian population, the General Staff reported.